I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hello, campers. Welcome back to Markers and Monsters. I'm your host, Colin, as always, and today we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th, Part 2. Let's get into it. I'm going to start here by finding the center of my drawing with the ruler here. I want everything to have kind of a symmetrical bend to it. I'm a symmetry guy, what can I say? Anywho, I'm penciling in here the famous campfire scene from the film. When we talk about the movie proper here in just a minute, we'll discuss why the scene is so impactful. A lot of camp counselors sitting around. I wanted to get it all kind of just right. And above them, who looms there? Yeah, our man Baghead Jason. This is the first movie to feature the true, adult Jason. When people think of Friday the 13th, they obviously think of Jason, the hockey mask killer. Well, I hate to tell you this, but he wasn't the killer in the first film. That, of course, went to Mrs. Voorhees, his mom. And in the second movie, he wore this burlap grain sack over his head. It wasn't until Part 3 where he got his iconic hockey mask. Anyhow, I'm going to pencil this in and then go in with the inks. There's so much detail in the little counselors and all that. It'd be very hard to lay down the color first and then ink over top. And this will give a nice thin line. So I'm, of course, using the Copic multi-liners, which dry very fast. And you can immediately cover over them with the markers and they're not going to smear around, which is really good for light colors. I've said it before and I've said it again. If you color with Copics a lot and inks, get yourself at least one or two of these Copic multi-liners. These are the refillable SPs I'm using. They're silver. Very, very nice. Anywho, let's talk about the film for a minute. Coming out in 1981, hot off the success of 1980's Friday the 13th, this film takes place, as I said, 5 years later, meaning it's a science fiction film taking place in the future. Yep. You thought you'd have to wait till Jason X, where he goes to space, but nope, this movie is the OG sci-fi movie. A new group of counselors has decided to reopen Camp Crystal Lake, and now they're all in training, led by Paul. That's the guy in the middle there of the campfire. He just wants to do a back to basics thing. First aid, archery, boating, all that fun stuff that camp counselors need to know. Early in the film, they get together and have a little campfire before I'd say the bulk of the training begins. And there they go through the time-honored camp tradition of telling spooky stories. I love this. This was such a thing when I would go camping. Spooky stories would always be told. Oftentimes these spooky stories would have a bent towards the quote-unquote realistic, where you talk about events that happen there. And in Friday the 13th Part 2, that's no exception, as Paul says, look, I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason. Tells a whole spooky story about how his mother watched him drown and she went nuts and he might be out there and oh boy. Love this scene. And so did the filmmakers, apparently, because they reused bits of it for Part 4 during the flashback sequence to kind of get you caught up to speed on this incredibly elaborate and very plot-heavy Friday the 13th series. I love it, you guys. I love it. So during this, campfire scene, obviously somebody gets spooked out. Somebody jumps out with a mask on as a fake-out scare. It perfectly summarizes kind of being a camper to me. I don't know. There's something about it that just absolutely fits, I guess. I don't know. Obviously these guys then get up to shenanigans. The film involves, plenty of campers hooking up and making out and going where they shouldn't and eventually getting killed by our boy Baghead Jason there, who apparently is living in a shack out in the woods, this murder hobo shack that he's constructed out of crummy old siding and wood and stuff like that. Great looking thing. I recently rewatched this film in preparation for this video just to, I haven't seen it in maybe 2-3 years. And honestly, watching it with a more critical eye, I'm surprised how many, I don't know, smart things are in this film. Things I had never noticed as a kid, right? For instance, towards the end of the film, and spoilers if you haven't guessed already, Ginny, that's our counselor, hugging Paul there on the right-hand side, our final girl of the film. Early in the film, she talks about how she's a child psychology major, which, I didn't think much of when I was a teenager. And now as an adult, I realized, oh, that's why she, put on the Jason's mother's sweater and pretended to be the mom at the end of the movie. Like, oh, that's actually relatively clever. Little bits like that you kind of don't notice at first. So I think this movie has, I don't know, it's a little smarter than it has a right to be, I guess I'll say. No, I'm not saying this is, My Dinner with Andre or anything, but yeah, little parts like that I think elevate this movie. This is kind of a fan favorite of the Friday community, I've noticed. A lot of people really like Ginny as the final girl. I absolutely don't disagree with that. She's got a lot of personality, a lot of heart. You root for her in the movie, even though she doesn't have too many lines or anything, but, she's great. All the counselors, actually, in rewatching it, a lot of these movies, it's, you spend so long with them, you cannot wait for these idiots to die. But for the most part, I liked all the characters in this. I didn't want them to die. I think Mark, the counselor in the wheelchair who has a story that he was in a motorcycle accident, but man, that's not going to let him get him down. He's a survivor. He's going to, overcome this disability that he had. And even if he can't walk again, he's out there. He's not going to shy away and just wait for death or whatever. He's going to live his life to the fullest. And you're like, man, I like this guy. Hope he's all right. Nope. Definitely not all right, as he gets a machete to the face and falls down about 9,000 stairs later in the film. Rough stuff, man. But, that adds to the charm of it, I think, is when you like these people and you don't want to see them die, it adds to the tension and whatever. So as you can see, I'm well into the coloring stage now here. I want everything kind of in the background to be very muted. I want the campers, of course, to pop out with a lot of light from the fire shining on them. I also wanted to add some of that orangey light onto the parts of Jason that you can see there. So kind of just a hint of it on the undersides of where the bag of his mask curves around underneath of his chin, that palm that's reaching out to them, a little bit on the fingers of the knife blade, just to make him also part of the scene, I think that's very cool. But other than that, everything's muted. That barn or the house in the back that they're sitting in front of, very, dark reds. I don't want it to stick out too much. I have a ton of fun drawing night skies and clouds, and definitely when you're drawing clouds like that, it's nice to be loosey-goosey with your your various shades and tones there that you're adding in the grays, the kind of moonlit yellows and oranges and stuff like that. But yeah, this is why we inked first. Going into with these counselors is it just takes time to color in all their different jeans and shirts and stuff. I actually analyze who's wearing what, which characters are wearing jeans, which characters are wearing slacks, just to get it right. I have a lot of fun with the little details like that. One thing you probably can't see at this distance, and hopefully in the scan you'll see it, is that Ginny is holding Muffin, the dog, that belongs to two of the other counselors, those two there in kind of silhouette at the bottom left. But yeah, Muffin, this little dog, is also present. Best character in the film, I gotta say. Yeah. What a great flick, Friday Part 2. I hope that you guys out there that celebrate Friday the 13th by watching these movies or whatever you do, I think this one would be a good one to watch this year. It's been a rough couple of years. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. So, I don't know, getting back to basics, these nostalgic things that really remind me of being a carefree youth and whatnot, like the Friday movies. It's really helps get through whatever you're going through. So I dig it, and I highly recommend it. We're filling in the trees here with inks on top just to make them very dark again and kind of looming, not sticking out too much. I thought the pine trees would add a nice, I don't know, framing to it. We're going in here doing the stars, a couple little highlights with the gel pen here. That's like a little white gel pen that sticks out. Let's sign it up and let's take a look at the scan. Friday the 13th, Part 2. What a masterpiece. Tell me your thoughts. Drop me a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the drawing, the video, Friday the 13th, this movie, the series, horror in general, anything. I'd love to chat with you guys. I always have fun doing these and talking to you guys, and I don't know, just putting it out there. It's a blast to me. That's it for me for today. Like I said, have a great Friday the 13th. Have a great rest of your August. Have an amazing fall, you guys. Halloween is coming. It's the best time of year, and I'm excited. We'll see you on the next one. This was Colin. This was Markers and Monsters, and I'm out. Bye.
I told the others. They didn't believe me. You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
I mean, I doubt Jason would have even known the meaning of death. Or at least until that horrible night.
Jason's a legend. A legend.